Hey friends, today we're making Super Veggie, which is the first meal in the Blueprint protocol. Bryan Johnson has a team to make him the Super Veggie each week. So if you're a normal person making this on your own, how can you make it as efficiently as possible? And what are some things to watch for? Let's get into it. We'll start off with weighing the vegetables. In my case, I'm filming from an island and I could not find a scale to buy, so I'm using measuring cups. I added general measurements in the description. Weighing will always be more accurate, but do what you gotta do. First, we start by cutting up the broccoli. I measure it, put it into a big bowl. I then do the same for the cauliflower, cut, measure, bowl. Then mushrooms, I use Shiitake mushrooms in this case. You could also use Maitake mushrooms. Then for the ginger, I just spoon the skin off, put that in the bowl, and then finish with 1 clove of garlic. Next, it's time to boil. I filled a pot about halfway with water, then set it to boil. Once it's boiling, I added all the ingredients and I turned on a timer for 8 minutes. While that's going, I start boiling water for the lentils in a pan. The ratio of water to lentils is 3:1. We're using about 3/4 a cup of dried lentils. That's about 2 1/4 cup of water. But generally more water is better. Once the water is boiling, I add the lentils and I reduce the heat to low and I cook uncovered for 30 minutes. The cooking time is dependent on what type of lentil you're using. If you're doing black lentils, al dente, which is the goal, is about 20 minutes of cooking time. If you're using green lentils like I am, that's about 30 minutes instead. Red lentils is even less time. Then I place the lentils into a colander to drain and rinse under cold water. It's important to thoroughly rinse your lentils after cooking because this will help reduce gassiness. Then on to blending. Here I've added the strained veggies and lentils, and then I add everything else. 1 tablespoon of dried cumin, apple cider vinegar, fresh lime. For even a really high power blender like this Vitamix I'm using, I typically add in some water to make it easier to blend. Very important, make sure the lentils and the veggies have cooled down before adding the lime, because if you have really hot lentils and veggies and then you add fresh lime juice to it, it can create kind of a fermenty kind of smell and taste. And last but not least, pour it into a dish and top with some hemp seeds. I couldn't find hemp seeds, so I am just putting some hemp powder and a bit of salt. Then store for later. When to eat. Bryan has Super Veggie as his first meal of the day. He works out, does his skincare, and then has the Super Veggie. I eat the Super Veggie as my last meal of the day. I typically have a salad and the nutty pudding as a smoothie as my first meal at noon. Then about 4 or 5 hours later, I have the Super Veggie. How to prep it. If you're gonna eat the Super Veggie right after blending it, make sure to heat it up. Eating the Super Veggie without it being heated, it tastes to me very tasteless and kind of sad. The heating it up part before eating it is very crucial for satisfaction. You wanna heat it on low to keep the nutritional density of the meal. Typically this takes about 20 minutes. Set it, go do something else, come back, get ready to eat. One of the main callouts of the Super Veggie and the meals in the Blueprint protocol is that they're very blended. It gives this sense of this being a geriatric diet, or what came up for me was this is a diet for a baby and I'm eating baby mush. It is a good point because chewing your meals is actually a very helpful process for defining your jaw and parts of your face. Here are the 3 variations that you could do for the Super Veggie. Number 1 is blend nothing. This will give you max level of chew, but it's also max level of effort. You're gonna have to chop the veggies into bite-sized pieces, and the garlic and ginger will have to be really finely cut so you can eat that easily. It's gonna take the longest time to eat because there's just more volume to get through. Number 2 is blend some of it. This is in the middle. It's gonna be medium level of chew. You're chewing some and the rest is kind of soupy. And then it's gonna be medium effort because you wanna blend the lentils with the garlic and the ginger because lentils create the smoothiness. You're gonna have to separate the veggies from the garlic and the ginger. It's just a little bit more effort, but it can be done this way. Then you have number 3, blend everything. This is gonna be minimum chew, but also minimum effort. This is my preference because it's all around just the simplest. Ideally, you're weighing your vegetables and you just weigh them and just plop them into the pot. You blend everything together and it's ready to go. Really, it came down to just shifting my mindset to, oh, this is a sophisticated blended soup. And suddenly I felt way better about it. The most important 80-20 here is actually starting the habit of eating a veggie meal. Ultimately, the goal might be to eat maximum nutrition like Bryan, but really the theme is to start eating more vegetables on a consistent basis in an easeful way. The most important part is to just get started, use what you have, or just try making this once a week, see how that goes, and then increase the amount of times you eat it over time. Batch it, baby. Making batches is going to save you so much time. I typically make 3 portions at once, and I do this twice a week. Keep in mind, this is a lot of food. It's high volume. So you're gonna need at least 2 big pots to make this. If you're in a small kitchen, you might have to do this in rounds. Give yourself at least a couple of hours. I made the mistake on my very first time trying to make 6 portions all at once, 3 portions for me and 3 portions for my partner. The kitchen spontaneously combusted. There were lentils everywhere. If I were to do it again, I would start by making 1 portion and then start batching a few portions at a time. The part that takes the most time is cutting the veggies up. To speed this up, you can buy either fresh or frozen. Frozen is generally the most nutritionally dense because the veggies are cut when they're fresh and then frozen. If you're getting frozen veggies, you can steam these and then blend them as you would normally. To reduce cost, bulk it, baby. Costco or any other wholesaler is my friend. Once you've committed to this habit, you know that it works for you. I try to buy essentially everything in bulk. Or for harder to find ingredients like black lentils, you can buy them online and just make sure to check the price per unit of measurement to make sure you're getting the best deal. Things to know. Something surprising is the gassiness. When I started eating Super Veggie, I noticed that I had more flatulence than normal, which is not that cute. Here are some ways to get around that. Number 1 is soaking the lentils overnight. Before you go to bed, just put the lentils into a big bowl with cold water, let them sit, and when you wake up in the morning, you can rinse them out and then cook them. This is going to also reduce cooking time, so check in the description below for more details. Number 2 is after you cook them, to then rinse them thoroughly. You want to rinse them out until no more bubbles are there. And the third is over time, your body will likely adjust. It took me about 3 weeks from the beginning, like, woo, to after 3 weeks, I felt fine. Something that shook me was the quantity of this food. 1 portion is huge. On the website, it looks so cute and it's a little bowl and you're like, oh my God, that's such a sweet meal. But no, it's a big meal. It's like a lot of volume. I had to shift my expectations on eating a little bit. Normally I would eat like, boom, like relatively fast, but even with the blended version, it's just gonna take some time to eat. Make sure that you give yourself time, at least 15-20 minutes to eat the full bowl. Blueprint uses a level 5 only approach, which means that you don't just use any ingredient. You use the ingredients that have the highest nutritional value. That is awesome if you can get those. But this can also be a big mental blocker for a lot of us. Oh, I don't have the right thing, so I just shouldn't do it. But the most important part is just to gain momentum. This will give you more motivation. Just use what you have or use basic ingredients that are similar and just get going. While eating Super Veggie is great, pairing it with nutty pudding is even more powerful. So in this video, I walk you through how to make nutty pudding and what to watch for. Check it out. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in this next video. Bye.